forms of Protoss aggression. One thing that we can absolutely expect, though, are Oracles to kick things off with. We're definitely going to see a couple of Blinkstalkers, but he does switch it up once in a blue moon and hit you with a couple of Zealots with charge way before Blink even. Well, let's see, as we have loaded into this best of 3, this man absolutely needs to get at least a map, but ideally needs to win the best of 3 to keep his tournament hopes and dreams alive. Representing Team Liquid and hailing from Poland, this is Elazer.
And his opponent, the best Protoss player in the world currently, a GSL champion, a 3-time IEM champion. It is herO.
And of course, the DreamHack Masters Atlanta champion as well. That wasn't even all that long ago.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
He had a great run in Valencia.
Wait a minute, I turned it off after the first few games. I thought Bunny had it.
Bunny almost had it, I thought, says he was so close.
That was a heartbreaker for sure, but nice to see Protoss winning some tournaments. As we get further, actually, and I start looking at the group stage, feels like we're not going to have too many Protosses moving forward, but even with that, like, herO has potential to take the whole tournament down.
Yep, and herO obviously still has potential to win this group. This group is quite feisty after Dongraegul was able to get the W over serO. Because a lot of people probably thought, oh, it's just going to come down to the herO versus serO best of 3. Whoever wins that will most likely win the group. But Dongraegul said, nope, guys, it's not going to be all that straightforward. And now it feels that a lot of things can still happen in this group, especially with Solar still in the mix as well. Because counting Solar out after his fantastic performance in GSL Super Tournament would obviously be a very stupid thing to do.
Yeah, that is for sure. It was great to see him finally take one down. He was stuck in the middle for so long. Has done better at events like this, but yeah, it's an interesting group. And I got to tell you though, if no one can stop herO and he just shoots to the top, it seems impossible already that he won't get out of the group. You know what I mean?
Yep, no, he's had a great start, and if he wins this series, then he is pretty much guaranteed to make it into the playoffs. But the other 2 series are still going to be very interesting, especially, of course, herO versus serO. I believe that is going to take place tomorrow, or is that actually happening later tonight?
herO serO, I believe, is tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the final match we'll be showing from the group.
The second final placement of herO was a little bit interesting, by the way. It's not something that I often look at, but just at the top of his ramp between the main base and the natural, I feel like we don't see that very often.
No, we really don't. You know, the thing about herO is he is really willing to change things up a little bit. Like maybe he's thinking he wants to hide the fact that he's going to go Oracle for as long as possible, but like everyone in the world knows that he goes Oracle like just about every game.
Yep, and if you guys don't play StarCraft all the time or don't watch it all the time and you wonder why, it's just because Oracles are great defensively. If a Zerg player wants to build a lot of Zerglings or go for something silly like a Baneling bust, those things get shut down by Oracles. They're even quite good against Ravager rushes as well. So it basically forces the Zerg to play a slightly more macro-oriented game, and that is exactly what herO wants. And then obviously once he's entering that macro-oriented game, the Oracles will be on the other side of the map. They can sometimes find damage, but if not, they get a perfect scout off. But this was already a decent amount of damage, I also. A single drone went down. That's maybe not too bad for Elazer, but every single drone from the main base wasn't mining for a little while there. As you guys see the income advantage there for a split second for herO. I felt like those 2 adepts already did more than they were supposed to do.
Yeah, well, this is pretty standard for herO, right? Like, he's so good with the initial adepts across the map as well as the Oracles. Look at this, flies in and already zaps down 2 drones. Queen's going to push it back there for now, but I guarantee you herO will get a little bit more.
Yeah, but this is already very good, because we don't even have a single Spore Crawler yet here in the natural, as herO also picks off a larva there, or a cocoon, whatever it was. So second Oracle is going to sync up with the first one. I think there is still enough energy to activate Pulsar Beam on both of them. Cool thing is that we have Oracle number 3 on the way, and herO has already shown us a couple of times, but like, hey man, if you don't get a lot of Spore Crawlers or you don't really focus on getting any anti-air, why do I need to stop building Oracles? They're actually pretty good. The more I get, the more fun I'm going to have with them, as we have a single stasis trap go down in the main base. Good reaction there by Elazer, but still all these little things really hinder the Zerg build order.
Yeah, and and what you were saying about the Oracles as well, like he uses them as fighting units sometimes. In some of these games, he'll just have Blink Stalkers and like 8 Oracles floating over them, helping to pick off those Zerglings if the Zerg is defending in such a way.
Absolutely crazy that the Revelation somehow did not get that single creep tumor, because the Overlord was revelated and the creep tumor behind it was revelated, but the most active one wasn't, so Elazer caught a little break there. And he does have a 54 drone economy. That's not all that bad. There is a chance that these adepts would have gone for it if he would have tucked them between the mineral patches, but herO wants to keep his units alive, and he is indeed heading into those Blink Stalkers, and +1 is on the way with the Forge.
Yeah, that's right. And, well, he's going to get very aggressive once he has a good mass of those Stalkers. He loves walking around the map with them. We'll see how Elazer wants to fight back against it. Do you have a certain way you want to see Zergs play against his mass Blink Stalker?
Yeah, it's very hard, right? Because I feel like they've all tried different stuff. I think this going for +1 melee, staying on Link Queen for quite some time is a pretty good way about it, and then try to head into +2 melee very quickly and get that 4 base Zerg economy up. But the one thing they really need to avoid is losing drones non-stop, because then it's not all about the Stalkers. The Stalkers will come. At this point, you need to be bulletproof against the Adepts and the Oracles, and Elazer simply has not been bulletproof. We're now 6 minutes and 20 seconds into the game, and the work accounts are dead even, and that's just not a place where Elazer wants to be.
I know, but that's, again, another thing that herO does so well. You know, some of these games where he's out-expanding the Zerg, he's up, 10, 12 workers. Look at that, the 4th base gets started immediately here for herO. He expands faster than anybody.
Elazer is dropping an Evolution Chamber, but he's also dropping the Hydra then, so it seems that he's going to try to make some magic happen with Hydra Ling. I don't think we have a Baning nest yet. Hydra Ling is something that was popular a long time ago when, the Hydra upgrades they were combined and you only needed to research a single upgrade. But after they split it up again in 2 different upgrades, it kind of fell out of fashion real quick. Elazer making 10 Hydras of 66 drones. Well, Arto says if that doesn't mean that the man is going to be aggressive, I don't know what will.
Well, I was saying that's what I want to see. I want him to have some sort of plan and just go for it, kind of ignore what herO's doing. You can't really play reactively against herO these days in Zerg vs. Protoss.
Elazer is going up to 5 bases and making all these Hydras. He's actually going to go back into droning. So maybe he's just going to use the Hydras defensively against the Oracles and trying to keep the Stalkers at bay. But the herO's already here, and obviously if he's going to see that the Hydra number is not growing, he's going to be in the face of Elazer non-stop. Look at the minimap, by the way. Elazer is setting up a potential Link surround that could be kind of cool, but there is a stasis trap there for safety.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see if he actually tries to set that off first or not. Oh, nice tag down on those Hydras. I like this idea from Elazer. The Ling Hydra. We don't see it like too often, but the micro is just relentless from herO.
herO's target fight there with the Adepts that he used to harass was not perfect. He actually wasted a lot of shots and he only got 2 drones. I have the feeling he could have got a few more there, but it's not so much about the Adepts anymore with +2 finishing up and +1 armor finishing up as well. It's going to be all about the Stalkers. We're dropping the Templar Archives as well. It feels like a game where a quick Storm would make a lot of sense, and in my opinion even more sense than just going for Archons.
Oh yeah, I would definitely like to see that. Storm is just such a great tool against Lingbane Hydra. In fact, if you don't have it, I think you're playing incorrectly.
Yep. Like, Stalkers are good against Hydras if the Hydra number is not crazy, but if we're looking at 20+ Hydras with both of their upgrades and a lot of Lings in the mix as well, a couple of Banelings rolling forward, yeah, you really want to have a couple of Storms to just keep that Zerg army at bay. I'm still happy that we got here though, Artosis. It wasn't perfect from Elazer's side, but it's so hard to be perfect against herO. But he's at 76 drones, he's working with 5 hatcheries, and he's starting to get pretty close to being a maxed out Zerg.
Yeah, no, he's doing a very, very good job, and you can see that herO is actually getting ready for different parts of the game, like already getting air weapons here. So he knows the way that Elazer is playing, it's very likely he is going to have to transition eventually.
Yep. Even though I think with Storm and an Observer and a War Prism, a few more gateways, perhaps sneaking a Prism into the main, I think that herO can still be fine with these gateway units for quite some time, but he hasn't really had the ability to be in the main base a whole lot. And maybe he's a tiny bit worried that Elazer has snuck in a quick infestation pit, that Hive is already on the way, and obviously he wants to be ahead of that curve, but he doesn't really have to worry about that yet. Elazer is doing what he found a lot of success with 5 years ago, when he had those great runs at BlizzCon, and then it's just some good old Hydra, Link, Bane, and +2 melee.
Well, that is a great way to play it. Well, at least it was back then. The Hydra's coming in now. It looks like he does want to attack, but with all these Psy Storms, plus a lot of Photon Cannons, not sure he's going to get in, but look at that. Banelings rolling through that mineral line. 12 probes go down. Not the end of the world for herO. He has a huge economy and still a lot of probes left over. But I like the way that Elazer is taking this.
Well, it wasn't bad at all by Elazer, but I do think he needs more, right? Because we're not looking at Lurkers in the near future, supported by Vipers or even Ultras with guidance plating. It is just going to be Hydra, Link, Bane. And then killing 12 probes is not enough, because if you look at the probe count of herO, already back at 80, man. He's like, something happened to Artosis? I don't think I lost any probes at all.
No, seriously. And herO just continues to have a gigantic economy, adding a little bit more production, another Stargate, another gateway coming up. And, you know, in the meantime, Elazer here, he's already kind of got the drone count he wants approximately, getting more Banes at +2, almost done.
I really love the amount of cannons that herO went for as well, but they are pretty clumped up, and Elazer realized that, and he said, I want to go for the probes, but I don't think I can get the probes there, but I can get all these static defenses. That was quite good, but the top attack didn't quite work out. The stasis traps are amazing, 2 Banelings with a dream, but the storms aren't good enough, and the High Templars morph into an Archon, and that one Archon was powered by shield battery overcharge for a while. That's a mistake with the Oracles though, herO, as he loses all 3 of them for not a whole lot.
I tell you what, look at that. In the picture-in-picture, we see the Banelings rolling into that expansion again. Oh my god, 26 probes going down. Elazer is playing out of his mind, Roddy.
Elazer with 80 drones. herO's going to try to recall a couple of units to make sure that he doesn't lose any additional workers against these Hydras. It feels that herO was worried about things that weren't happening yet, right? Because he's got that fleet beacon, he's got a second Stargate, or at least I think he has a second Stargate, but he got +1 air weapons. But it's not about that, it's about these basic units. And if herO would have just had enough vision and enough Storm and enough Stalkers, he would have been totally fine. Right now, he's not down and out. He can absolutely still stabilize, but he's going to have to clean up the defense a little bit. And right when I say that, he's dropping the fleet beacon, Artosis.
Well, I guess he does want to maybe go up into carriers. Only thing I can really think at this point. Banelings rolling in here around those Archons. Not the best trade this time for Elazer.
Nope. More big storms landing as well. These Banelings getting very close to connecting as herO's full of confidence, blinks forward, and this normally would have been a crazy blink forward, but he's got +3 attack, +2 armor, and the only upgrade that Elazer has is +2 on the Lynx. The Lynx obviously showing up there makes a little bit of a difference, but the Hydras were just so far down in upgrades that these Hydras couldn't get the trade that Hydras otherwise perhaps would have been able to get.
Look at the economy of herO. It's like, yeah, he still has 70 probes, but he has lost a lot of them. He's spending a lot of money remaking his economy, getting these probes back on the Nexuses, and he's being kept back better. Like, here's the crazy thing, right? I came in here because I've seen so many herO PVZs, and I'm like, dude, no one has solved this. It's like he looks invincible. But this is probably the best overall macro play that I've seen against him this year.
Elazer is definitely not there yet, though, right? Because he's still just a lair tech Zerg. And the army supply right now, that's probably not big enough to run into cannons and batteries. But if Elazer can just keep doing what he has been doing over the last few minutes, and he gets a few more of these phenomenal Baneling run-bys, there is absolutely a lot of reason to get very excited if you're Polish or you're just a fan of Elazer, because he is making herO work for it, but these upgrades still don't lie. The Stalkers have +3, +2 armor, and we cannot forget that herO already spent a lot of resources on things that never even came into play. We've got a fleet beacon, we've got Stargates, we've got +1 air weapons, and he hasn't used any of it.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's going to be his finishing card here. If he can stop these attacks, the Hydra's coming in once again, eating a lot of Psy Storms there. But you know what? A lot of these attacks from Elazer are reducing the High Templar count. Like, he would much rather there be Archons than Storms.
Yep. Well, actually, herO's army's play severely dropped there for a split second. Now even he's only working with 46, and it's a lot of Archons. Archons are not great against high number of Hydras, and obviously Archons don't really benefit from the armor upgrades, as we have a Ling run by, and these Lings have +2. herO needs to respect it, and he does. He goes for the recall immediately, and in moments like this, I'm sure that herO is killing himself, or at least kicking himself, for misclicking those 3 oracles, right? Because imagine if you still have these oracles, I think his life would have been so much easier.
Well, that is for sure. You know, every single unit at this point that he's lost has been a pain. Hydra's coming up once again for this 4th base, picks off the Nexus. Kiting back now. Hydras, of course, do so fantastically against Archons. The Archons trying to pull back. A ton of Banelings coming as well. Elazer going for the push. Oh my god, is he going to break herO completely?
Don't see any storms, and a couple of the Lings that ran into the main base morphed into Banelings, and Elazer gets the job done against the man that is known for his PvZ. Everybody calls him the best Protoss player in the world, the best PvZ player in the world, but Miko with that trademark Elazer 2017 style takes the 1-0 lead.
Dude, amazingly done. Like a really good call. I love the 10 Hydras he popped out defensively there. He kind of forced herO down a different road. I'm kind of in shock. Like, this is the last thing I expected. Like, honestly, I would put like money on herO beating Serral, beating Raynor, beating Dark, because he's been that strong lately. But Elazer just bringing it to him.
Yep, a super important series, of course, for Elazer, who started the group 0-2. A win here would absolutely allow him to dream again about still making it into the playoffs, and that would, of course, be big for the man of Team Liquid. But we can get too carried away, because yes, Elazer won, but he was basically all in all the time. He was ultra committed, because there was no transition. This was it. +2 Banelings and Hydras. They had +1 missile attacks down the line, but this really was it. And herO made, I think, 2 key mistakes. The first one was obviously losing all 3 oracles for no reason at all. That was a pretty obvious misclick, flying them over the Hydras, didn't even activate Pulsar Beam. And I think the second one is that he kept on spending tons of money on stuff that never came into play. We built extra Stargates, we got +1 air weapons, we got a fleet beacon, but if we are just trading blows non-stop with basic units, we don't need to spend our money on that stuff.
No, you're absolutely correct on that. Like, the transition was not something he really needed. When your opponent is sitting on that layer tech, going Ling Bane Hydra non-stop, really the only metric I look for as a caster is what is the High Templar count? Continue to make those High Templars, keep them alive, hit the storms, and you will grind them down.
There was also that one moment where herO had a bunch of cannons and batteries in that center base, but they were all right next to each other, and that's obviously not super smart against Banelings, because Banelings are excellent against buildings, they do bonus damage, and yeah, you kind of want to space out your cannons a little bit, so if Banelings want to go for cannons, they'll only get 1, maybe 2 if there is like no other place to put it, but having 3 cannons and a battery all in range of a single Baneling explosion, that's not the way to go.
No, certainly not. Well, here we go into game number 2. Down in the bottom right with the upset, Poland's own Elazer.
A great game by that man from Team Liquid. In the top left side, we're looking at the main base of our Korean Protoss, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. This is herO.
All right, Roddy. Your prediction for Elazer's strategy, is he going to go down the same road if it's an Oracle into Blink opener?
There's a very good chance, mate, but it's obviously, maybe Elazer's got something special, because Dragon Skills obviously plays out in a very different manner than Gressvan does. I don't know, but I think there is a good chance we're going to see a very similar game. And you know what's funny as well about the transition that herO tried to go for that obviously never came into play, is that he was so far ahead in upgrade.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really make sense to get like a 3 upgrade advantage for yourself and then be like, no, I'm not going to use these units anymore. I'm going to go into different units that I have to start upgrading from scratch again. Like, that's kind of crazy.
That is a really good point, Roddy, actually. His strategy doesn't fit together all that well. It's like, what are you just... Did you get 3-2 upgrades really quickly so you could defend? Like, what? You know? Like, we never even saw charge researched or anything like that. There was no real harassment on the sides after the oracles. Yeah, it was a little bit disjointed from herO.
Absolutely. And I even felt that a Dark Shrine would have been a very sick play, because of course the DTs, they do benefit from all these upgrades, and on top of that, because Elazer is a pretty greedy boy, and he was so committed to his aggression, there were like no spore crawlers at any of the newer bases. The original bases, yeah, they had some spores to deal with the oracles, but I think there would have been a couple of great plays potentially for the Dark Templars, but we didn't get to see it. But hey, that's what makes StarCraft 2 fun, Artosis. Even when we think we know what we can expect, herO surprises us.
Well, not with that Stargate, though, right?
No.
He's just got to go up to his patented oracles. I'm sure we're going to see those adepts coming out shortly, trying to pick up a few drone kills as well. And I'm excited to see how he's going to change that, because the more I think about it, you're really right about that upgrade call. It's like, okay, herO, if you're rushing these upgrades, you have this many gateways, you're doing fantastically with that. Stay the course, man.
Because he would have had fantastic trades. You saw it one time with the Stalkers when they decided to blink forward on top of Hydras. That's normally the last thing you do with Stalkers. But yeah, it's something you can do against Hydras if you've got a 4 or 5 upgrade advantage, which he did, because +2 melee, of course, does not benefit the Hydra.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny when you think about it. Like 0-0 Hydras against 3-2 Stalkers.
It's not a fair fight.
No, it's really not. And for people that don't like play the game a lot or watch an intense amount, like you can really feel the difference when it's a 2 upgrade lead. Like I don't think I've ever played a game personally where there was a 5 upgrade lead. It just doesn't happen.
At that point, you can have the wrong units against the right units, and you're still going to do fine.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, Marines against Ultras, that's not supposed to be great, but if the Marines have a 5 upgrade lead over the Ultras, they're going to do fine, Artosis.
Oh, yeah, they're going to gun them right down, no problem. Now, the Adepts shading in. Let's see how many drones that they actually end up killing. 3 so far. Oh, the Oracle comes in from the side as well. Whoa, 7 drones to open.
herO seems pissed.
Yeah, he's angry now. Yeah. He's like, okay, we're going to get that damage early and often.
And there was that one moment where he got the Adepts in the main base early on as well. He got that first drone, he decided to recall them out, and he used the Adepts later for something we can call a run-by. It's kind of weird because Adepts normally just kind of shade in, but there was a little run-by while the Stalkers were poking, but the target fire was a bit off there, and I think those Adepts could have done a little bit more as well. But yeah, in this game, herO's like, you know what, I'm okay with sacrificing them a little bit earlier. Let's just get that damage done immediately, because Elazer is known to be a pretty greedy boy. And double Spore Crawler finishes up, and double Oracle is here in the main base, and there is a single Spore Crawler finishing up. But if the Queens are not there to support the Spore Crawler, then you're going to lose a few more drones. And we're now looking at a 12 drone loss in a game that hasn't even gone on for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a steep amount of drones right there, especially when you're keeping those Oracles alive, escaping with both of them. That third Nexus is about to finish. +1 already on the way here, and even a Robo for herO. So everything really on point for him this game.
Elazer is going to switch things up, because we see a Roach Warren going down, and that's not a building that he dropped at all in the previous game. As we have the 4 Adepts shading into the natural very early on. Elazer just feels like he's got no battle units at all. It feels that he keeps on hoping that herO will no longer be aggressive and he can get away with just having 2 Zerglings out. That is not the case. We do sacrifice an Overlord in the main base, but I'm not sure if the Overlord saw the Robo. Definitely did not see the Forge. Did see the Robo.
Oh, okay. That's kind of interesting, because he doesn't see everything else. So he might be thinking, oh, maybe this is a little bit different this time. I don't know if he's going to change how he approaches his next tech step, but he is starting that, well, 1 Roach so far. Do you like the Roach War in this game? I feel like the Hydra play was just so smart.
It was cool, but yeah, I guess there is a very specific plan. Maybe we are going to go for some sort of a Queen Walk, or we
sure, yeah.
Or maybe he was worried
maybe?
about something that wasn't actually happening. What if he thought it was Adepts into Resonating Glaive?
Yeah.
Or Oracles into Adepts with Glaive. And since we're firing up +1 melee now, we're going to drop the Hydra then. It seems that Elazer misread what herO was doing, right? He seemed to be worried about something that wasn't there, and now he's giving up on the Roach Warren, but yeah, he still made a Roach. Now we make double Hydra then, by the way. Now we cancel 1, so we're back to single Hydra then.
All right. There's a lot of decisions being made right now, and unmade for Elazer. Still running around with these Lings. You can see he really is a very fast player. He's trying to check out exactly what's going on. But this game does feel like a little bit better for herO, I think, than what we saw previously, just due to some of that drone damage and Elazer maybe not reading the strategy correctly yet.
Killing 12 drones that early, Elazer having a misread, Elazer being forced to cancel the 4th base, and now on top of that making Hydras into Colossus. I'm with you, Artosis. This game feels very good for herO. Elazer doesn't even really know how bad this is going to be yet, but there is a good chance at the moment Elazer sees the Disruptor, then he's obviously aware of the fact that there is a Robo Bay, that he is going to try to plant down an Infestation Pit and somehow make it up to Hive. Like, here is our Disruptor, gets a single Hydra and a couple of Zerglings. Elazer needs to drop an Infestation Pit, I think, because without Hive, you never win this game.
Yeah, you're definitely right, and he does that immediately upon seeing it. Now, 2 Colossus are about to finish. I did see herO yesterday going for some 4 Colossus timing attacks, and those obviously worked really well with the +2. So I wonder if that's where he's bringing this game again. I think so.
One of the Oracles does get picked off, and Elazer is trying to stabilize on 5 bases, but, you know, sometimes it feels that Zerg players have Hive very quickly. But if you're Elazer right now, it feels like this was the slowest Infestation Pit you've ever built. And then you're going to fire up that Hive and you're going to be like, geez Louise, it just takes forever. Because what Elazer wants with that Hive is obviously to get Vipers. Without Vipers, he's got no real answer against Colossus. And yeah, I don't know how he's going to buy enough time to get there, Artosis, but clearly he's going to have to try.
Yeah, you know, against the Blink Colossus, I do like mass speed Baneling, but Baneling speed is not done here yet. But if that finishes and he's not dead by the time that it does, there's no sentries. He has no way to force field to hold off Banelings.
Yep, but he can definitely soak them up with all the Stalkers, and Colossus can kind of zap them down before they can get in range. Elazer has mission impossible here in this game, and I think he knows that too. This Protoss army is big, it's terrifying, it's a lot of lasers, and what does Elazer do? This also doesn't feel like a very fair fight at all, Artosis.
No, this is going to be a tough one. The Colossus coming down, starting to poke absolutely everything. The Banelings splitting up quite a bit. You know, this is a very clumped type of army, so the Banelings could get some good connections. Looks like the Lings coming around for the flank actually find other units. The engagement begins, but it doesn't look like it's even close.
We have 4 slow Banelings wiggling in from the back. As the Hydra Concave is quite beautiful, but in the end, this Protoss army should just be way too big, way too powerful, and these Colossus are truly utilizing their range. Elazer dropped the Infestation Pit, but he wasn't able to fire up the Hive. I think he did about as well as he possibly could have done there, especially with 2 flanking Hydras sniping the War Prism. Actually kind of a cute play. But of course, that fight was not good enough for Elazer. It's good enough to survive, but it's not good enough to feel good about this game.
Yeah, I definitely like herO's position more here, and I especially like that he backs up immediately. He's got to get that new Warp Prism out. He's making an additional Colossus. So we're going to have 5 Colossus here. More Stalkers joining the fray as well. Can Elazer get an army together that can knock this out?
I'm afraid the answer to the question is no, but hey, it would be awesome. He did surprise us before, especially in that first game with a couple of great run-bys, but he's going to have to defend this base. Nobody wants to be a 3-base Zerg against a 3-base Protoss. Elazer feels that this is the moment to go, but the hatchery is already down. We have a couple of Ravages in the mix, a lot of Banelings coming in from the bottom side, and these Baneling connections were actually quite good. The War Prism takes damage, but this time around it doesn't fall.
Yeah, it's still a lot of Stalkers out there. Everything is damaged quite a bit. That Colossus to the north will be picked off as it rallied in kind of poorly. Another one going to fall, maybe even a third here, but Elazer is spending every unit he has.
Yep, he's down to 2 Zerglings. 2 Zerglings and 2 Queens.
Oh, boy.
These 2 Queens get picked off. But herO, since he lost another War Prism, and he's obviously quite committed on his 3-base attack, because herO has not been transitioning out of this, is probably feeling like, okay, this all went very good, but I need to be a little bit careful right now, because if I do end up losing these 2 Colossus, and the only thing I've got left are a couple of Stalkers, and you show up with 40 Zerglings with +2 melee, I am in trouble. We know that Elazer doesn't have those 40 links, but that's not something that herO could have been aware of.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he just has to get a few more units to go back in. But every time, it's like he's trading a little bit better. So Elazer right now in a lot of trouble. The Blink on top of the Hydras, trapping them there. No micro to be had here from Elazer, and everything getting fried this time.
Yep, for a game where Elazer lost as many drones as he did, he made this surprisingly close, but it is not going to be good enough. herO will set the record straight and tie things up, and we are loading into it in 3.
All right, very good to see, but You're right. It looked like herO was mad. He got in there immediately with the first couple of Adepts, and the Oracle got a bunch of kills. The 2 Oracle run into the other base was, with just the 1 Spore and the 2 Queens walking away. Big problem there for Elazer. Just with that amount of damage, herO can kind of do what he wants.
Yep, 12 drones before minute 5 going down is kind of unacceptable. Elazer will know that too. The only way you could ever justify that is if you get both Oracles. Like if you kill both Oracles, you can be like, well, I still hate the fact that I lost that many drones and it's going to take so much longer for me to get the economy going that I'm looking for. But at least I have time because I don't have to worry about these Oracles anymore. But he didn't kill a single Oracle. The only thing he got in return was a couple of Adepts, and the fact that he was able to hang in there for as long as he did against a clearly superior army shows that Elazer had some great moves. A couple of flanking Bailings, sniping that War Prism the first time, even getting it the second time in the bottom left side, but the writing was on the wall. That Protoss army was never supposed to lose against a Lair-Tech Zerg.
Yeah, that is for sure, but yeah, so much of it does come down to the early damage here that you can't expect that every game. So if Elazer tightens up a little bit, he blocks that damage, doesn't take quite as much, we can get into another game where he can really fight against herO. He's already shown that he can.
Yep, the army engagements have been very good from Elazer. Definitely something to be kind of hopeful of. And we talked a lot about how committed Elazer was in that first game. Even though he was a 5 base, at one point a 6 base Zerg, he was stuck on the units that he had and he wasn't upgrading them. So he was very committed. But make no mistake, herO was also very committed in this previous game because he was hard stuck on 3 bases and 66 probes. But yeah, herO probably looked at it and said, hey, I've got 5 Colossus. I am not going to lose 5 Colossus against Hydras and Zerg.
Yeah, for real. All right, here we go. It's going to be map number 3. His tournament life almost on the line here. In the top right, give it up for Elazer.
And in the bottom left side, the man that is representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, the best Protoss player in the world and one of the favorites for the entire event. This is herO.
I'm excited to see how Elazer wants to go ahead and play this. Like with herO, I would be shocked if he does not go for his Stargate and get his Oracles out. He always opens in this way. But do you think there could be any merit to opening differently?
Yeah, I think once in a blue moon, it doesn't hurt herO, obviously, to just open up with a Twilight, right? And
yeah.
To kind of confuse players and keep them honest as well, try to make them scout that Stargate. But I think that's something that herO will only do if he feels like he has to do it, right? If he plays against a Dark in the playoffs, or a Raynor, or a serO, herO will probably look at almost every other Zerg on this planet and be like, I can tell you that I'm going to go Oracles into Blink Stalkers. And StarCraft 2 is a strategy game, of course, but at the end of the day, execution matters even more than strategy. And herO will just look at this and be like, I don't need to switch it up because my build is safe, so you can't really all-in me, and I will always find damage and take it from there.
Yeah. But Elazer, I mean, I really did like that game number 1 quite a bit. It kind of reminded me, you remember, Roddy, back when Swarm Host got nerfed for the first time? And Snoot started going Ling Hydra immediately to counter all the Stalker builds that people were using. And so it kind of like made me think about that a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I guess historically we do have a precedence for going Ling Hydra in this case.
And it's all, if I just think of the strongest Elazer ever, we think back of the Elazer to make the semi-finals of BlizzCon after defeating Showtime in the quarterfinals. Like no foreigner in the modern era of all the BlizzCons had ever gone that far. And if you look back at Elazer that year, it was so much of everything we saw there in Game 1. Back then he used a lot of drop alerts as well. That's the only thing he didn't use, but obviously Baneling drops with +2 melee are great. But hey, if you can just roll them in, why do you need to drop in the first place?
Yeah. Well, he's playing so fast-paced that one game, right? It was like non-stop. He ended up killing 100 probes or so, which is just absurd. So, yeah, don't need to change that too much. Now, the Stargate is finishing up, an Adept going across the map, and we should be seeing that Oracle start just momentarily.
Yeah. Hopefully Classic hasn't been around and be like, trust me, bro, go Tempest. No!
Oh, that game.
What did you make of it at those?
Oh, man. When he ran by the bunker, I was just like, no. and then he started making all the proxies and the Tempest. It was like, dude, there's a reason we haven't seen this in a long time.
Yes, it was a whole lot better in Heart of the Swarm. And if you guys wonder why, like, wasn't Proxy Tempest a thing once upon a time? It was. But since in Legacy of the Void, we started with way more workers than we did in Heart of the Swarm. By the time that the Tempest are out and you're able to pick off a couple of SCVs, the Terrans have way more SCVs in Legacy of the Void than they had in Heart of the Swarm. So every worker you kill has way less impact on the economy, and that's why the build is kind of fell out of fashion. There are still some ways to once in a blue moon make it work against very specific Terran openers, but as you said, there's a reason why we don't see it a whole lot, and that is because it's pretty bad in most scenarios.
Yeah. So sad one there, but this series so far doing really well. I was nervous at the beginning that it was going to be kind of lopsided and everything, but here in Game 3, Elazer defending pretty well. The second Oracle's coming up. We haven't seen a ton of damage yet.
We got a couple of Zerglings running towards the other side of the map as well. If Elazer is able to get a little cancel on this Nexus, that would be fantastic. And the Oracles are quite far out of position. What will Elazer go for? Does he go for the Adept? Does he go for the Pylon? Or will it be the Nexus? He's going to try the Nexus. Look at the micro. We are microing individual Zerglings to get a little bit of extra DPS. One Oracle shows up, pulls a beam. Elazer doesn't get the Nexus. And that is bad news, Artosis.
Yeah, trying to get as much damage as he could there. I like the micro and everything, but herO has everything under control at the moment. 12 more Lings on the way as 3 Oracles go across that map.
Yep, we saw a couple of extra Adepts, and once more we see the Roach one being dropped. Now in the previous game we made 1 Roach, and we're like, actually we don't want Roaches at all. I'm not exactly sure what Elazer is going to do this time around. Maybe he just feels it in case it is Resonating Glaive Adepts, but none of that really matters as the Oracles are finding a couple of drones. With a couple I mean 7. The Lynx also finding some success, so that's obviously decent, but I still think this is way better for herO than it is for Elazer, because Elazer made all of these Lynx in the first place, which already slows down the Zerg economy.
Yeah, for sure. The Lings are not doing quite as much as he wanted. But
doors are
some
open?
of these kills, and he slips into the natural. Look at this, going after even more probes for herO. herO taking some serious damage here.
It wasn't too bad for herO earlier, but this was obviously not supposed to happen. He has now lost 9 probes, and there's a good chance he's going to lose a few more. Loses a lot of mining time as well, and Elazer is firing up 20 more Lings. He's like, hey, this is all going pretty good. Maybe I should try that again.
Are those 20 new Lings going to be able to do very much? A lot of the units are still in the main base, chasing around the remaining Lings, but those are going to be knocked out as of now. And the 20 Lings coming in, I'm not so sure he's going to be able to do much.
I think you're right. I think he was hoping there was no battery there or something at the third base, and he was able to right-click on the Nexus. That didn't happen. Elazer is going to try to go up to 4 bases now, has dropped the Hydra Den, so he had that Roach Warren. Did it finish up? Yes, it did. It is on the right side of our screen there, but we're not going to use it at all because he knows that it's once more going to be Blink Stalkers, and he does not feel that he needs Roaches, so he didn't start Roach Speed either. Does kind of need to keep this hatchery alive, though.
Well, Shades Up has a good amount of Stalkers, and yeah, this hatchery is going to have to get canceled. Even the Oracles turning on, pointing their lasers down, and down it goes with that cancel from Elazer. So a very good denial from herO.
Really unfortunate for Elazer, who now has 1,000 minerals in the bank too, because he was kind of just hoping that hatchery would finish up, then he could saturate it immediately, and then we could slowly but steady go back into the composition that we found a lot of success with in Game 1. He will now double expand. That's something that will absolutely work. If herO feels like, hey, this was really good for me, now you need to attack me and I don't need to do anything anymore for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe this can actually pay off for Elazer.
Yeah, possibly. Looks like herO getting ready for another base of his own right now. Still warping in a lot of Stalkers at +2, about 1/3 of the way done. And yeah, I mean, we are going to get into one of these more macro-heavy games. Do you think Elazer is going to go at it exactly the same, where he's kind of all in on layer tech?
I think so, because I think that's what he does best.
Yeah.
Elazer is obviously not a bad Hive Zerg, but he is just way better with the layer tech units. knows how to control Vipers, and once in a blue moon we'll see an Infestor, but I don't think that is his bread and butter. I don't think those are the games that he enjoys the most either. As herO is switching it up, by the way, compared to that first game, he will just once more go into the Robo Bay and second Robo, like we saw in that previous game, Game 2. But obviously in Game 2, he played it in a very aggressive manner. 66 probes, and he got stuck on 3 bases. This time around, he's like, no, I don't need to be too aggressive. Probably likes how this game has gone. And he says, I'm going to go up to 4 bases, and if you want to do something about it, be my guest. I will once more have Colossus.
Yeah, the Colossus, I mean, when he starts getting up to that huge count that we saw before, you know, 4 Colossus, 5 Colossus, it is definitely going to start shredding the Lings and Banes. But the economy of Elazer is going to be pretty darn big on 5 base, right? Like, he is going to be able to field a lot of Banelings this time. It's going to be a much bigger army than what we saw in the previous game going up against Stalker Colossus. And again, we don't have sentries. That, I find that a little bit concerning, because if you can't stop any of the Banelings when they get to huge numbers, it can erase this army.
I think on creep, I kind of believe that the Elazer army can get a magical engagement, that the Baneling connections can be big enough, but off creep running into stasis traps and cannons and batteries, it's really not supposed to work. And herO will know that. That's why herO is probably just chilling at this point and he says, if you want to try to break me, be my guest, because I really don't think that is going to happen, and I'm definitely siding with herO. Elazer is maxed out, so his army won't get a whole lot better than it currently is with the Lair tech that he's working with. I don't know if we can really get a whole lot done.
Oh, that stasis is so bad for Elazer. Just absolutely an easy hold right now for herO. Look at this, even over on this side. I'm not too worried about anything for herO at this point, but the Hydras, I mean, they're trying to fight. They put a little bit of damage on the Nexus. It doesn't look super good for Elazer after that.
Couple of Zerglings running into the natural, by the way. They do have some potential if herO didn't see it, but herO does see it. He's going to wipe in a few Stalkers. Even if it was only 3 or 4 Lings, if you're just paying too much attention to what's happening in the center of the map, these Lings do pack a punch, especially with +1 melee, and it could have been painful, but herO was all over it. And Elazer now realizing that that attack was not too successful and that the next one is going to be even less successful because extended thermal lens will be done. There will be more Colossus, so he drops the Invitation Pit. He's going to try to make it up to Hive, but he's going to have to stop this monstrous laser army, and I don't know how we go about it.
Yeah, well, there are some Ling counterattacks going on, so if he holds, maybe those are going to help pay off, but this attack is ridiculous. Look at herO just move forward all the way. The Baneling's not even really able to finish morphing. They do pop out. He blinks back away from them. For now, the Hydra's coming forward, but herO's army is melting everything.
Yeah, that was a proper Hydra barbecue, and it seems that herO will be able to increase his record to 3-0 if he can just keep these Colossus alive for a little bit longer. He does lose every single probe, by the way, on the other side of the map. He lost 52 probes to it. It's like he's just F2A moving. He had a couple of units defending. He's like, no, I can't be bothered. Go ahead, Elazer kills everything. Like, that was not supposed to happen at those. He lost 54 probes.
Yeah.
But he's got an army that just cannot die.
Dude, he's losing a Nexus as well, but yeah, that is going to be that. And a good effort from Elazer, no doubt about that. But herO adapting, overcoming.